Good morning, all participants. Uh, Mr. Vinayak, can you hear me?
Good morning, Manjunath. I can hear you.
Yeah, good morning, very good morning, Vinayak. So we'll wait for 5 minutes for the participants to join, and we'll start the session.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Good morning, Vinayak.
Good morning, Manju.
Yeah, I welcome today's speaker, Mr. Vinayak Mahendrakar, who is working as a project manager in Design Infinity LLC, Dubai. So, on behalf of our head of the department, R. Sridhar sir, who couldn't join us due to some busy meetings held up in the college. So, once again, welcome the today's speaker, Mr. Vinayak Mahendra. Thank you, Vinayak, for your valuable time and using your for the enlightenment of knowledge of our students.
Good morning, everyone. I actually want to thank Dr. R. Sridhar for the welcome and giving me the opportunity to be part of the knowledge sharing session. I'm very grateful to KLS Gokte Institute of Technology and also to Professor Manjunath for introducing me to the institute and getting me on board. Thank you for all the audience who have joined already from India and UAE. I must thank Madam Geeta and Mr. Pratap, the managing directors of Design Infinity LLC, Dubai, for always motivating and supporting their staff for learning and growing. So, Mr. Manjunath, shall we start or are we waiting still for
Yeah, yeah.
someone?
I request all other participants to kindly mute their audio and video, please. Yeah, we can start, Vinayak.
Yeah. So, let's start. Put off mute. Okay. A brief introduction about me. I work as a project manager for Design Infinity LLC Dubai. Design Infinity is one of the prominent interior design and fit out companies in the UAE, and its head office is in Dubai. From interior designing to fitting out and giving turnkey solutions, Design Infinity acts as a one stop solution for all interior fit out needs. We take pride in saying that we are one of the best because of the satisfied clients we have across all our portfolio. So, about my education, I completed my Bachelor's of Civil Engineering from SDM College, Dharwad. I went on to do my Advanced Construction Management from NICMAR, Pune, basis on which I have a little confidence and a little, what you can say, a knowledge that I took up this special topic called Project Management Framework and its uses in construction industry. I would like to tell all the audience to excuse me if I go wrong or if I make no sense somewhere while during the presentation. I would welcome all the questions during and after the presentation. Someone is presenting.
I
Sushil.
request all other participants to kindly mute their audio and video. I can see so many participants has turned on their video. Mr. Daneshwari, Miss Daneshwari, kindly switch off your video and okay. And so Vinayak sir, you can full screen your presentation. You can yeah. I request all others to kindly mute their video and audio, please.
Shall we start, Professor?
Yeah, please, Vinayak, you can start.
So, we always hear this word from musicians, photographers, politicians, sports team managers that hey, I have a new project. I have something that is coming up very soon this way. So when we, as a construction industry professionals, we hear this word project, it always flashes in our mind that, oh, there might be a residential building, some long road, or some development infrastructure and residential. But do we actually know what is project and its framework? This is what I'm going to talk to you a little bit during this presentation. Project. When I say project, project is a beginning and an end. It is temporary and it is unique. No project can repeat itself, or if something that repeats is not called a project. The thing that repeats is an operation and not a project. So when we say project, it is temporary, it has a definite start, and it has a definite finish. It is unique in its own way. A project comes with constraints. No project will have indefinite time or scope or cost. It has a definite time, it has a definite scope, and it has definite cost. But nowadays, quality is the most important thing that has developed or that has evolved. Project is based on three questions. We ask, what do we want from a project? How do we get it done? And how much do we want? These are the basic elements that make a project. Be it anything, we have a goal, we have an objective, we have a scope. And at the end of the project, we have a tangible result. This project management came into picture in the 21st and 20th century. During the industrial revolution of the 19th century, the world understood the importance of automation and technological growth. And hence, during our times, the 20th and 21st century, project management was started as a profession. Projects are now so complex that with its unique design, artificial intelligence, robotics, and to give the best quality, the project management knowledge and skills in an organized way is become the need of the hour. We have the constraints of time, cost, and resources. Hence, project management is become a necessity. Every project has two stages, two important stages, planning and management. When you plan your goal, when you plan your team, that is your resources, when you plan your money, when you plan your equipment, that's when you put it into a project and it gives you a deliverable, which we call a project. Project management plan tells you how the work should be done. And the detailed planning is what it makes a project management plan. Now, when we, as a project management students or professionals, we always say planning, meaning we have a planning team, we have a planning engineer, or a planner who schedules the project. This is not all about planning. Planning is an overall management of all the knowledge areas and all the components of a project, which we'll be discussing in the later slides. So why project management? Why do the companies need project management? Every project comes with a business case or it comes with a strategy. Every entrepreneur or an owner of a company believes that he will get a financial or non-financial returns from a project that he does. When I say strategy, financial or non-financial, it might be a market need, it might be a competition, it might be a technological advancement, or it might be to grow his or her portfolio. When portfolio, I say portfolio is a group of programs. Like a company has portfolios. They might be into many aspects of a project. Construction, interior fit out, They might be having mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So these are the portfolios that a company will have, and they want to expand that, or they want to have advancement in that. So the companies need project management because of the competition and the market need. While the companies are thinking of doing a project, the project selection and prioritizing the project becomes a very important task. Being an entrepreneur, you cannot take all the projects that it comes, or you cannot leave the projects that it's not important to you. Every project has some values, financial or non-financial. Now, when an entrepreneur or a sponsor wants to do a project, he considers that his enormous amount of resources, finance, time, effort, and his team attention will be aligned to this. The business strategy is a task for managing directors, operation managers, and the project managers himself. So for all this, the knowledge and skills is very important. That's when the entrepreneurs or the sponsors require a man called project manager. Now we have seen the transition. First, a project is initiated, and then a project management plan is thought of. For all this managing, a project manager is essential. Once the board selects a project, or say wins a project, the project manager comes into picture and starts driving the project. It is always essential that a project manager is from its inception. From the start of the project till the end, a project manager is always there. Once appointed, he is the CEO of the project. He is accountable for its success and its failure. Now, for the student audience here, you must be wondering that it is such a complicated word called project manager, and you must be already fearing about it. But trust me, it's an everyday experience. The knowledge and skills that you get every day on a project is very important. That will take you forward in your career. So need not worry about the word project manager. It is a
Slide
very
is
accepted. Sorry.
slide is missing. We cannot
Kindly
implement the.
make the slide full screen, and I request all others to kindly mute their video and audio. Please. Once again,
Okay, okay.
I request Mr. Vinayak to please make the full screen his presentation in the Google
The
Meet.
screen is full screen.
Yeah, I request all other, like Professor Muralidhar, please can you kindly mute your video. Hello, Professor Muralidhar. Kindly mute your video. Yeah, Mr. Nayak, you can continue.
Yeah. So the project managers, yeah. The constraints that project manager always has in any project, be it construction management or IT project management or any kind of project, they have a constraint of time, cost, resources, and goal. Now, once the project is awarded or given or handed over to the project manager, he is given with a high level constraints. He is given a project charter that says, okay, I want a residential building on this area and during this time and with this many resources. Now, the main objective of project manager coming on board is to work on the constraints that he has been given, the time, the cost, the resources. Now, he has to assess the needs, he has to discuss it with his team, negotiate, and adjust the contents to a realistic one. The slide is clear, right? Everybody can see the slide?
Sorry to interrupt, Vinayak, like your slides are not visible in the presentation. Make
Slides
a
are not.
presentation using your slides.
Yeah, it's slides only.
Like,
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your thumbnail only, not the slides. Earlier it was connected.
Just try again.
In Google Meet only you can present now as a PPT.
Sir,
Yeah.
if you pin the thumbnail,
Yeah,
you will
I
get,
think now it is okay.
you have to pin the thumbnail, then you will get the full screen of that presentation.
Yeah, is it now okay?
Yeah, now it's on. Yeah.
Yeah. So the responsibility for implementing and completing the project is the project manager's job. He has to be realistic in his needs, and he has to negotiate with the sponsor or with the stakeholders for what he has to need. I mean, the time, the cost, and the resources that he wants to complete the project. Because at the end of the day, he is responsible and he is the one who is going to be answerable. With all the above skills, the project manager becomes the force of the project and is answerable for everything. Moving on from the project manager's roles and responsibilities, here is a little thing about project manager. He has to manage through all the departments: finance, engineering, contracts, manufacturing, planning, and purchasing. This is a general one used for all the industries: construction, IT, manufacturing, everything. Moving on to the project management processes. Every project has these processes. Every project, big or small, there is so much to coordinate and track to get from point A to point B and make it a successful project, that these processes are very important. The processes are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and control, and closing. If you can see the slide, the initiating and closing are two separate entities, and the executing, planning, and monitoring and control keep repeating itself. They are iterative processes. They keep developing and they keep changing as the project goes to the end. It's a constant process, I can say. So going a little in detail about these processes, the initiation. This is where all the project begins. The business case, the feasibility study is done by the sponsor or the entrepreneur, and then a project is chartered. A project charter will have all the high level requirements of a project. It is when given to the planning for developing all the management plans across all the knowledge areas. The planning now has a lot of has 10 basic knowledge areas, which we'll be discussing later in the slides. So once the project is approved, the next step is to assemble a project team and start planning how to manage a project. So planning, when we always hear, it's always about the Gantt charts and the CPM and the precedence diagram model. This is what we know, or this is what we believe and think. But planning is more into all of this. Yes, Gantt chart is important because Gantt chart is the one which will integrate all the knowledge areas into one schedule. The project plan, when we say, will include resources, financing, and the materials. So this will be discussing in a later slides. We move on to the execution. After the initiation, planning, we move on to the execution on the basis of what has been planned with all the knowledge areas. When we go into the execution, all the knowledge areas have to be planned, and there should be a project management plan, which will include all the plans and make a one project or document. You assign the task to the team members to manage it and monitor it as it progresses through, with a project dashboard or the project management tools. You must be aware of the project management software tools like Primavera, Microsoft Project. This is all what is used for tracking and keeping the project in flow. The monitoring and control process is a very important process which keeps repeating and is a constant process. Right from the planning till the closing, it keeps rotating itself. So we call it as a life cycle of a project. But then we also tell that project is an end. So when we say life cycle, the cycle keeps rotating within the processes. But then when it comes to closing, it finishes all the requirements of a project, and then the project is closed. Listen to me carefully about this 5 major aspects which we consider in planning, executing, and monitoring and control. The 5 major aspects are the scope. When we say scope, there is a scope baseline. Scope baseline is one on which the project works. Anything beyond the scope has to be always gone through the change control, and the variations are always should be always notified to the sponsor or the stakeholders. Quality also has a baseline. There is a quality specified what the client or the sponsor wants. So that also has to be adhered to. Schedule baseline. You always don't have infinite time to complete your project. It always comes with a time. So the schedule should also be a major aspect in monitoring and controlling during the execution. Cost and risk. These are also 2 things which are independent, because you cannot minimize a risk and also minimize the cost. You can do one of the thing. You cannot do both cost and risk together. They are independent. So these are the 5 major aspects during this process: planning, executing, monitoring, and control. They are the scope, quality, schedule, cost, and risk. Now coming to the closure of the project, once the project goals and objectives have been met, the last phase of the project is to close it out. This again involves a lot of processes. So this again involves a lot of processes that you have to get the deliverables verified. It has to be accepted by the client. The resources have to be assigned to the next project. The procurement contracts have to be closed. All the deliverables has to be accepted. In a construction industry, we say as-built drawings, the operations manual, the warranties, everything has to be documented and handed over to the client for his acceptance. Only after all this is accepted, a project is called closed. Now, we shall see how these processes go into the knowledge areas. According to the Project Management Institute, and also the basis of project management, there are 10 knowledge areas: integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder. The first one is the integration. I wonder why this integration was first, because integration is the combination of all the other 9 knowledge areas. Now, integration is like a glue that holds all the parts of a project. You can say this is the hardest area of work for the project manager. Right from developing the project charter with high-level requirements into a project management plan, and then giving it to the execution team for directing and managing it, to the control and monitor. From the monitoring and control, you have some changes, some variations, or some acceptable deliverables. When there are changes, it has to go through the change control process. The scope, the cost, the schedule has to go through the change control process. What are the impacts to it? And then again, it goes to the direct and managed project work. And then if it is finally accepted, it goes to the close project or close the phase. The integration management has two approaches. There are two kinds of organization actually. One is the predictive and planned, and the other one is incremental and iterative. In the interior fit out industry, we usually go with the predictive and planned. We have a specified duration, we know what the scope is, and so for us, predictive and planned is the one is the approach we take. For the large construction projects, the company usually prefers incremental and iterative process, because in a large construction project, you are aware of the high level requirements and you know the phases of the project. This is where we call a rolling wave planning, where you plan for a set of phases, 1 or 2 phases, and then when you are about to end the phase, you continue with the next phases. So here you're incremental and iterative, where your scope becomes progressively elaborated when the project starts and it continues with its phases. Because there are many interdependencies, there are constraints, there are assumptions, there are milestones, what you have to take into consideration. So project integration management is to bring in all the components and managing it effectively. Right. So the scope management, one of the 5 main aspects of a project. Project scope. This is the easiest thing to define on a project. You can always say, hey, I want a residential building. This is my land. Just take and plan for it. But then when you're given this high level requirements by a client, you then have to agree with what is required by the client. That is the hardest thing on a project. You have so many stakeholders. There are stakeholders. You have to identify all the stakeholders. You have to collect all their requirements, what each and every stakeholder requires. The types of stakeholders will be discussed in the later slides. But yeah, collect requirement stage is the most hardest thing, because the stakeholder will always try to impose or force you to do the additional things. You need not say no to what the stakeholder is requiring, but it has to be as clear as possible in the initiation stage itself. Whatever happens or whatever is required later has to go through the change control process. You cannot gold plate a project. By saying gold plating, meaning you cannot give extras to a client. Whatever is specified in the contract, whatever has been agreed upon, has to be given. But nowadays, the culture is that we have to satisfy the client. We cannot say no, or we cannot say I will not do. So, but there is an ethical way to deal with it. When a client says I want something and you want to do it for free, there's no harm. But then you have to go through the change control. You have to say, okay, this is the impact on the time, cost, and the schedule, but we are ready to accept it, or maybe we are ready to adjust it in the initial scope, schedule, and cost. So that is very important. You cannot agree for everything that the stakeholder tells in between the project. When you say scope, your scope has to be broken down. So when we say broken down, it has to be a work breakdown structure. A work breakdown structure is something that will break the work into a manageable scope or manageable level, where you can delegate it to your team, and then manage it, control it, and monitor it. So I said negotiating scope is very important. There are many stakeholders on your project. You have to keep everyone satisfied. Saying that, the scope has to be verified. When I say scope verification, it is the client or the sponsor who has to validate and accept the deliverables that you're giving him. You will not be able to please everybody on the requirements of a project, but finding a balance and satisfying and getting a sign off of all the stakeholders is the ultimate deliverable for the project manager. So as I said, it is an easy concept, but needs a lot of negotiation, documentation, and sticking to what you have already planned. Professor Manjunath, I think we are all clear, right? The presentation is okay?
It's clear, Vinayak. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, project schedule management. When I say project schedule management, a planner or a scheduler knows the trouble or knows the pressure that he has. Every time we go as a project manager, even in my case, we go to the planners and say, oh no, I want the schedule now. I want it to be updated right now. That doesn't happen. That is not the case. A schedule management is a systematic and very organized way of managing the project. When we say schedule, there is a thing called time is the essence of a contract. We all have studied contract, so we know this. Time is the essence of a contract. Delivering the project on time is so important that it is directly proportional to the cost that will be incurred. The more the delay, the more is spent. It's a direct proportionality between the cost and the time. But having said that, if there are changes or scope has been progressively elaborated, you can always go to the change control process and then agree upon the time and cost. If it doesn't make any impact, it has to be documented, but then agreed upon that the time and scope and cost will not be hampered. When you say project schedule management, these are the activities. You plan the schedule, you have a schedule management plan, you have a scope basis on which you define the activities that is required for the scope to be achieved. You then sequence the activities. After sequencing the activities, you give the activities a resources. Now, resources management is another chapter that will be discussed later. So you have to plan the resources. You are supposed to understand if you are going to do it yourself or you have to go to a subcontractor. You have to know what equipments, what resources. When I say resources, it's just not human resources. It is about equipment, materials, all the things that is required, expertise that is required, everything that is required on a project. So after that, you put durations for these resources. After the durations are put, you then get a schedule. What we do now in a Microsoft project or a Primavera or a critical path method. This is what happens there. And after the schedule is prepared, you again control it. So the three main steps of project schedule management is what work will be performed, who needs to perform it, and how long it has to be performed. Now the estimates are based on the expertise. Sometimes it is done through tools and techniques, to mostly Microsoft project, Primavera, that way. Our bosses often, I must say, they say that I want this
Mr.
planning.
Mallikarjun, can you please turn off your video? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Vinayak, you can continue. Into the screen, your presentation.
Yeah. So I was saying about the bosses in these days that they say that, okay, I have a project to be tender and I have to submit the program. Can you work over the weekend and finish and give me this program so that I can submit it to the client, or the tender has to be submitted. But it is
Screen
not
is
an
not
over.
visible, Vinayak.
Sorry.
Screen is not visible. Kindly pin it to the screen. Presenter.
I think it has some time. Every time I have to do that. Yeah.
No, what
Is it
happened
now?
is the one person started sharing his screen. That's why your screen minimized.
Okay. Yeah. So shall we continue?
Oh, it's not yet visible. Huh? Now, yeah, now it's visible. Yeah.
So what I want to say is scheduling is not an overnight job or a one-man activity. You see, there are so many work breakdown structure, the activities, resources, and to develop a schedule, it has to have a proper understanding depending on the complexity of the project. In small projects like the interior fit out, we do it in single process. It's not as tedious as a large construction project, depending on the complexity of project for sure. So single process, when we say single process, we define the activity, we sequence it, we give a duration to it, and then we develop and control it. But in the large projects, as I said, it is done in phases. It is iterative and it is progressively elaborated. So yeah, the analysis and forecasting is an important thing in the progress reports, because progress reports also are very important in giving the milestone reports to the client or the stakeholders. This is where the schedule management is also important. So I'll move on the cost management. Project cost management. This is on the basis of the business case that we have already gone through. You have a business case, you know that cost is a constraint. You have given a budget and then you work on it. Now, when I say estimate cost, you use multiple approaches to estimating the cost of a project. Analogous estimation is one which you use the historical information and then give a brief estimate of a project. And then we have a parametric estimation, like 1 square foot of work, I will charge X dollars. So this is the area, and then I can come to a conclusion of cost. There are other approaches as well, the bottom up and the top down. So it's an important measure which creates a baseline, you can say cost baseline. There's a saying called measure twice but cut once. So estimating cost should always be twice. If you're doing an approach of bottom up, which is a very detailed approach, you have to also do an analogous or a parametric to just compare how much variance is in your estimation. When we have this estimation, we convert this into a budget. Now, when I say a budget, you have already given some budget, some estimate to your activity, and then to your milestone, to your control account. These are the stages of project. And then you come with an estimate. You add a contingency reserve for this estimate. Now, contingency reserve is something which you know that is a risk. Say something is going to happen, which is a risk to your project, but you're not sure of that happening during the stage of the project. So you have a known, but it is unknown that it will happen. You have a known, but it is unknown that it will happen. So you have a contingency reserve. Now, together with all the estimates of the activities and this contingency reserve, you create a cost baseline. This is where the project manager has the boundary. After cost baseline, he doesn't have authority. Now, after cost baseline, there's a management reserve. The management has some portion of cost to the project. Now, say the risk like what is happening right now, the pandemic, it was not known to anybody. So this is somewhere the management reserves come into picture. Now, totaling it with the estimate of the activities, the contingency reserve, we get a cost baseline. With the cost baseline and the management reserve, there's a budget. The budget is known to the management and the stakeholders and the sponsors. Now, when we know the budget or the estimates, we load it into the schedule. We perform the earned value analysis as the project goes by. You know where your project is at any point of time where you're asked what and where your project stands, earned value comes into picture. From there, you estimate how much is required for your completion. This is where the estimate at complete is required. If there's any requirements of changes, you do the changes and then you control and close it. So one of the 5 main aspects of project: schedule, cost, and the scope. So as I said, you cannot minimize the cost and the risk together. It is 2 different things, and it has to be given priority to both. You should always remember, you should always ask yourself, what is the value of minimizing risk against the value of minimizing cost? This is where the earned value management helps in assessing status of your project. Moving on, the project quality management. Project quality is become so important that it has become one of the triangular aspects of a project. Along with the time, cost, scope, quality has become one of it. Let's say you are a project manager of a railway bridge across the river. Now is the time that you have to commission it. You're sitting on a train and then you have to take a trial run. But now there's a thing going on in your mind that the one who built this bridge was the contractor who bid the lowest. What might be the thought? Really, has he done a good quality job or has he deteriorated it? So the first one was who is taking the trial run, and you have all these thoughts. So this is what is a satisfaction, which is not to be compromised. It is always better to prevent than inspect. So quality is a continuous improvement that has to happen to your project. Say cost of quality, cost of non-conference, and cost of conformance. These are the 3 costs that comes to a quality management plan. Cost of non-conformance is a prevention cost. Sorry, the cost of non-conformance to specification, right? So the cost of non-conformance is the failure cost. It comes when the rework or scrap happens. It is also external failure cost that you have to take into consideration by giving warranties or insurances to it. Mr. Manjunath, I think there's some disturbance.
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the cost of conformance comes with a prevention cost and appraisal cost. The cost of prevention is by training your team. There's echo. I think I can hear some echo. Yeah, now it's clear. The training cost, the training that you give to your team, the equipment that you buy for preventing the quality deterioration, that is what is the prevention cost. When we say appraisal cost, it is the inspection, the testing that occurs so that you keep it away from the client or going through the repair works. There are many tools of quality management We all know Ishikawa diagram, that is the cause and effect diagram, the flow charts, check sheets, Pareto diagrams, histograms, control charts, scatter diagrams. These are all having some limits. You give some benchmark to your quality and then you verify with the benchmark. The control charts, suppose they have a higher limit and the lower limit, and your results should be in between them. So this is how you measure the quality. Quality itself is a big topic. So the Six Sigma, the total quality management, are doing continuous improvement quality project management aspects of project. These are the training that the quality managers are expected to have. Moving on, the most important part, project resource management. The project resource management is to ensure that right resources will be available to the project at the right time. You have the sequence of activities, you have a schedule, you have given the cost, you have estimated the cost, everything is there. You have assigned the resources as well. But how much sure are you to have the same resources at the time that you actually need? This is what is a negotiation again to the project manager. You have some expert in other departments, you have some expert subcontractor, you have some expert equipment that at a particular stage you will be requiring. That negotiation and planning is as important as any other aspect in project, because lack of resources at any point of a time can also cost you or lead to a schedule overrun. All project resources require different kind of resources or common resources. When I say common, the resources might be shared between many of your projects or couple of your projects. So missing any single resource can harm the project. Now resources can be people, team, equipment, tools, facilities, or capital. You're largely dependent on all of this. When I say people, it is the human resource. When I say capital, it is the money that is required. Material, meaning facilities, equipment, machineries, the softwares nowadays, it's also a resource now. So careful planning and allocation of all these resources is an important part. Your project will never have unlimited resources, or you'll not. It is not ethical to keep the resources just for the sake of keeping it and using it later. It is always better to release your resources whenever it is not required and reacquire it when it is required. This is a standard ethical project management. So we develop the resource plan, we give the roles and responsibilities in the organization chart, we manage the staffing. That means if one resource has to go on a vacation or the resource is busy with another project, it has to be managed. We acquire the project team, we develop the project team. Develop meaning the interpersonal skills or anything that is required for a project team to be developed for the success of project. Say a client requires a set of reports in a different way, in a different software, which your team is not aware of or is not trained. The project team has to be trained about it. Only then you can give a successful project. This is how you develop and then manage the project. Moving on, project communications management. Project manager spends almost around 80% of his time in communication. Now, communication doesn't mean a phone call or an email, etc. It has everything linked to it. Even sending reports, mails, conducting site meetings, conducting weekly meetings with your team, with your stakeholders is also considered communication. in communications, there is always a matrix where you define the stakeholders who are responsible, who are accountable, who can be consulted, and who can be informed. So when you are communicating about your reports or your milestone reports or your weekly reports, there are not all the stakeholders will be interested in knowing all the details. There are few stakeholders who will be needing only the milestone reports, a monthly report or a weekly report. Some stakeholders who will need a daily coordination, who are accountable for all the activities that happens on a daily basis. Some stakeholders who can be consulted, like the project experts in your organization. Some have managing directors. Some have the project management organization, PMOs. So they need to be consulted if there's any problem or if there's anything to be taken an expert judgment of. And there are some stakeholders who need to be just informed. They are having low interest in your project, but they want to have all the information. So identifying stakeholders, planning communication between them, distributing the right information to the right person at the right time is important. And then managing the stakeholder expectations is as important as everything in the project, because stakeholders' expectations can change anytime and it cannot be denied. So managing and getting to know what they expect at the earlier is the better. And reporting the performance. So project communication management is an important task for the project manager, apart from handling all the technical aspects of the project. The project stakeholders can be customers, sponsors, portfolio managers, program managers, project management office, project managers, project team, functional managers, operations management, and the business partners. Moving on to the project risk management. It is about identifying, analyzing, and responding to the project risks. There's always the common strategies of risk management. It is to remove the risk, reduce the risk or its likelihood, reduce the impact. What we can do about it is the reducing the impact. You can transfer the risk by having some insurances or having contingency plan. Like I said, you have a risk that is known to you, but you're not sure of that occurring. So you have a contingency plan, you have everything made, set, ready for it, but you don't give it a priority. It is in a contingency plan. And another strategy is to accept the risk. Now, the risk that we are presently, everybody is facing is a pandemic. We have all accepted it. We were not prepared for it, but we have accepted it and we are working around it. So this is what is a strategy. Every project comes with a risk, and identifying all the risk at an earlier stage is the most important aspect. It is to analyze the impact with low, medium, or high. This is when your planning and action comes into the picture. When you have planned for the risk management, when you have identified the risk, you perform the qualitative risk. That is, if it's low, medium, or high. For small projects, the quantitative risk is not required. You can directly go to the risk responses or the execution. So perform quantitative risk analysis is something where you give numbers to it, numbers to the risk, meaning how much your risk is related to the cost or your schedule, etc. The risk responses are planned, and then you monitor and control the risk. The monitoring and controlling is in all the processes, as you have seen, and it keeps continuing. It is iterative. The basic of risk register is you have to control the risk, and the risk should not control you. Project procurement management. Procurement management is what to buy, when to buy, and from whom to buy. We are not going into the contracts, but this is what it is. The contracts come into picture in the procurement management. There are many types of contracts: fixed cost, cost plus incentive, cost plus fixed price, etc. We'll not go into details about contracts. So procurement management is needed to acquire material, goods and services that is required to meet the project scope. The potential sellers or the bidders have to be given fair knowledge of the scope that is in the project. One seller cannot be differentiated with another seller with short of knowledge. All the sellers, all the bidders have to be given the same knowledge. That is what is ethical in selecting a seller and awarding a contract later. So you plan the procurements, you conduct the procurements in a fair way, and then when you administer the contracts, it has to be a win-win situation for both. There cannot be one unhappy person in the contracts. That will again be related to the quality. So when you administer the contracts, it has to be fair and it has to be a win-win for both the parties. And then you control. You manage the contract, you monitor how the seller or a subcontractor is performing. You make some changes or corrections that is required for a contract if required. And everything that is to be done has to be mentioned in the contract. Both parties should fulfill the commitments that has been agreed upon. So the closing procurement. Closing procurement is also important, where all the claims are resolved, the variations, the extra cost or extra schedule that is agreed upon, that is everything is agreed upon, the documentation is done, and then you close the procurement. Moving on to the project stakeholder management, which is the last knowledge area. Stakeholder is anybody who has interest in your project. It is always a tricky business because we never know who might come up as a stakeholder. So identifying the stakeholder from the day the project begins is very important. And it never ends until the post-project reflection meetings. That is, your accepted deliverables, your verified deliverables are signed off by the client. So even the project stakeholder management serves as a good engine for future use for project data. Meaning the lessons learned of how you can manage a stakeholder is also important. Some of the tips on stakeholder management is to not forget any stakeholder. A stakeholder can be a competitor as well. He can be affected by your project, or a person, an environmental organization in your city or in your area, they might be affected. Your neighbor can be affected by the project. The noise can cause problems for him. So everything has to be taken into care. The people impacted by your project, like your customers and your users. Building a good relationship with stakeholders before you need it is very important, because when it occurs that you have to have some compromise or some understanding between the stakeholders, you already are in a good relationship. Communication, as I said, is a very important thing, where we have different styles of communication. One stakeholder will be happy with the emails or with weekly reports or with monthly reports, and other will have a face-to-face reporting style, or a phone call or a chat tools, etc. So the communication between the stakeholders is very important, and getting their input and feedback as early as possible is also helpful, so that there is no surprises in the last or in the closing. When we report to a stakeholder, it is always has to be in a real number or real results. You cannot give fake or false data to a stakeholder, because that will not help you in closing the project or in getting or buying in the time or in the cost. So having said, we have covered all the knowledge areas. of the project management. Professor Manjunath, if there's any question on whatever we have spoken till now, you can take it.
Yeah,
Because
I
I think
request participants, if they have any questions, kindly type it in the chat box so that Mr. Vinayak will answer those questions. Will,
or I can continue.
yeah, you can continue, Vinayak, meanwhile.
So the project change management is also very important. This is not part of the knowledge area, but I thought it is also important because there are variations. The projects nowadays comes with variations and buying in time or buying in schedule or the cost or resources. So everything has to be through the change control boards, and it has to be approved by the client, and you have, in this way you get the extended time period, or your cost will be verified and will be fair enough in getting all the change management. The document management is also very important. We have the project management information system nowadays where you can, it's like a lessons learned register where you can have all the things registered, and once everything is there, it can be used as a future organizational asset. Sometimes it's a software also, or simple Excel sheets, which will be helpful. So as I said, project management is important because you are expected to have the latest concepts and techniques of project management. Whenever there is a pre-qualification of any projects, it always sees that they have the latest concepts and techniques in their management database. So managing projects in a skillful way and a knowledgeable way is also important. And learning new thought process that comes in an organized and thinking and structured approach is also important. There are so many organizations, the Project Management Institute, and they have so many certifications that is required for being skillful. That is the professional degree or recognition, which will help in getting jobs. Some clients or some projects have a constraint that it has to be a company that has to be a lead certified for managing lead projects. So this is all the requirements that is coming up, and developing and evolving through the skills is important. The student audience here might be very much interested in this slide because that is what they must have thought this whole webinar is all about. So yeah, so project management course when you do is always good because you have the technical knowledge, you have done your bachelor's, you have done your degree, but then when you have this extra soft skills like management, you improve the quality of work. You are expected to deliver faster. You are expected to have more leadership skills when there are problems or when there are issues, risks. The project manager who has all these soft skills is expected to react in a better way, in an organized way. He has a competitive edge because apart from the technicals, he has also acquired the attitude, the knowledge, and the soft skills. It helps in organizing everything, the deadlines, the pressure, the emotional intelligence, which is right now the most important concern. And you can work in most of the industries. Being a civil engineer, you are not just restricted to civil engineering and architecture and interiors, but you can also expose yourself to most of the industries because a civil engineer is required in every aspect of the development that is happening, the revolution that is happening in and around the world. So this is what I had with me regarding project management framework and its scope. I hope I did some justice to your expectations, and I would like to have some questions and interactions so that there's knowledge sharing on both the side.
Students can ask questions if you have any questions to the speaker. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be pasting a feedback link. So participants, please, I request all to kindly fill the feedback form, and immediately after filling the feedback form, you will get the participation certificate. And I heartily thank Mr. Vinayak Mahendrakar for sparing his most valuable time and enlightening our students and audience with covering the various aspects of project management knowledge areas like project resource management, cost management, quality management. And also he said that you cannot satisfy all the stakeholders of the project. And it's a very much true. And it's very difficult to satisfy each and everyone. So it's a stake and for project communications management, especially about the stakeholders. Like if you do not properly communicate with the stakeholders, you can see how they can affect in delay of the projects. Like local projects, you can see for best example is Bangalore metros and BRTS between Hubli Dharwad. It is because of the no proper communications between the stakeholders, maybe due to land acquisition or many other aspects. And also we covered about the project risk management. So assessment in that here assessment and then control the risk and ranking. I mean prioritizing the various risks and then mitigation of the risks. So, and then we spoke about project procurement management, project change management, and that the change control board concepts. And also we gave many tips on stakeholder management. And very important note he left to us is don't forget any stakeholders. And also introduced us to the PMIS, that is project management in information system. And he told that how important to document it and every activity that is happening in the site. And also in the last, to enlighten our students about the career benefits of project management. So I thank Mr. Vinayak Mahendrakar for spending his most valuable time and enlightening our students in this webinar. Thank you, Vinayak, very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Manjunath, for giving me this opportunity. I am again very grateful to KLS Gopte Institute of Technology for helping me revise my subjects as well and giving some topics on the project management. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Vinayak, the students were asking, like, can you share your slides? Is it okay?
Sure, I'll do that. I'll send it to you on your email.
Yeah, you can mail the slides to me and then I'll share with the students.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Vinayak. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day and please stay safe.
Yeah, thank you.